So we will continue with the May 12th, 2021 OAC board meeting, or sorry, general monthly meeting. We've had a secretary's report, treasurer's report, membership committee report, and then we're talking about galleries and exhibitions. Just the committee, since it's not really a committee as it were right now, we're going to just sort of move forward, and we'll talk about upcoming shows in under old business. The publicity committee, I think I'm going to just sort of speak for the publicity committee since we don't actually have a chair. And you know, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, Sandra is getting things on the calendar, and it becomes part of publicity because that winds up getting it into Burbio. Karen continues to do a Facebook post, so that's great. She did put the member show on there, as well as you know, a plug to have people join. And I have had a couple of people, as I said earlier, volunteer to help with social media and online publicity. Roberta actually, Sokolov has gotten print publicity out for the member show, not for submissions for the member show, but for the member show itself, to some of the local or some of the, you know, Westchester print outlets. So that's,
yeah, I saw it listed on the patch today.
Did you see it?
The patch.
Great.
Yeah. You know, they have this section called neighbor posts or neighbors post or something, and it was listed there.
Great. Great.
And Ossining said yes to putting it on their blast, the show on their blast.
Excellent.
Yeah, she wrote me back.
Great. And I know that coming up, we'll have, I think that's Roberta's going to have it go out in a few more places. And because we are affiliate members of the Arts Westchester, they are actually getting the show on their calendar. They got it on there for us this time. And then we will be needing to do more of that ourselves in the future. So
yeah, I was going to ask you how do we do that?
Yeah, so we can talk about how to do that.
I have to say, the Hudson River Potters show at Bethany 2 weekends ago, I guess, a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
That got featured on the weekly Arts Westchester email. And we had people coming from the Bronx and New Jersey and
wow,
Mamaroneck of all places. So it makes a big difference if we can get Arts Westchester to boost up.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we're too late for that for our member show, but we'll be talking in a few minutes about the fall show that we're doing at Bethany. And I think that could be a really great, if we can get, you know, maybe we can shoot for getting that, if some kind of a feature in Arts Westchester for that show, because that could be a great draw. All right, I don't see anyone from the music committee here, so we'll table that. And we can talk about upcoming shows and events. You want to give us an update, Jill, on the member show?
sure. We're doing fine. We have 27 pieces so far, submissions, and they typically do come in at the last minute. Some people here right now have not submitted yet. You know, we will have, I think, at least 40 pieces, probably more. Last year we had, for the virtual show only, we had 52 pieces, so we might reach that again. The volunteer slots for handling everything are all filled. We could use one more person to hang, but we have Renee, and Roberta Sokolov is going to hang. So, and Renee, if you could kind of take the lead on that, you know, you know the drill. I will send out reminders to all the volunteers just to remind them of their commitments. I have all of the artist statements on one document. I had to copy and paste those because they needed to be edited. Some of them were too long. So I would say in terms of the virtual show, Allison, don't do anything until after the deadline date has passed. I have all the photos in a separate folder. And I also have I will have prepared the signs for the gallery, the pricelets, the exhibit tags, and the guest book. I'll make sure that that's all there for when it's time to hang. So we should be in pretty good shape. I would say if anybody gets an inquiry, I know, Allison, you were answered something with David Green. Just forward stuff to me, because what happens is our dialogues cross in the mail. So, but we're doing fine with it and everything's organized and on target. So like I said, we could use one more hanger, one more person to hang. But other than that, everything's covered.
Great. Thank you,
I can
Jill.
help- I can help hang, but I'm also not clear on when I have to deliver my art to the
Well,
library.
it's in the prospectus, but everybody who has submitted, I will send an email reminding everybody of the drop-off date. But it is in the prospectus.
Okay. And what date do you need people to help?
For the day for hanging is Saturday, May 29th from 11 to 2, but that is Memorial Day weekend. So,
Okay, I can do.
And I will tell you, I didn't write it on there because I wasn't 100% sure, but there's a good chance Larry will be there to help us.
okay, I didn't want to just put that down though and just assume. So can you do that, Bonnie?
I can do it, and it wouldn't help to have. It wouldn't hurt to have Larry too.
No, it's good to have Larry because Larry's tall also. So, yeah. But yeah, if you can do that, Bonnie, then we're covered. Then, you don't want too many people for that.
No,
All right.
definitely.
And
not.
Larry's always very good because he just does what he's told. So,
Very good that way. He doesn't like to get involved in the decisions art-wise.
right. He just tell me where to put it and that's fine. So,
So May 29th. Okay.
yeah, from 11 to 2 at the library.
11
So
to
we're covered. Then all the volunteer slots are filled.
Okay.
And thank you everyone for your willingness to help.
Excellent. Yeah, there's people really stepped up to help with the member show.
Yeah,
So
they really did. Yep.
great. So the next thing that's on the list is still a question mark about the 2021 studio tour. Whether or not to make it virtual. Way back in February, excuse me, way back in February, we had a few people volunteer to look into that and maybe organize. And I think I went back in my notes and Karen, who's not here, and Phyllis, and we're talking about maybe putting something together. I don't know if they've, as far as I know, they haven't met to discuss that. So that's, I'm going to, unless somebody else has ideas about putting together a virtual studio tour, I think we'll just table that.
Well, Phyllis is here.
Phyllis, do you know, have you guys met to talk about the virtual studio tour in the fall?
Not really.
Okay.
I was gonna help with that, but what's Miriam? Miriam has done it, so I don't want to.
Oh, no, I don't, it doesn't, it's not my ballywick this year.
Okay,
No,
all right.
And
Good word, Miriam.
I think the difference was that rather than it being an in-person studio tour,
right.
that a virtual studio tour was what was sort of being put together. And that was my understanding, was that was, so I don't, if you guys would maybe contact Karen and see if you can put together or, you know, talk about whether or not you want to sort of put that together, and maybe at the June meeting, we can talk about, you know, how it will work, how we will get people doing it, you know, what that would be, or if it's not going to happen, we can go ahead and look at it for another year or something like that. Does that sound reasonable?
Reasonable.
And-
I can contact Karen. And Phyllis, what do you think?
I can do whatever I'm able to do. I have a problem. I have macular degeneration.
Oh,
I
can
don't know
relate.
if you know about it, but it's a
Oh,
very
yes.
severe vision problem.
Yes.
And I can't read. And because I can't read, I can't write because I can't see what I might be writing. So my visual activities are focused on art because, strangely enough, or maybe not so strangely, you don't have to do any reading to
Mhm.
paint. And so this condition hasn't seriously affected my ability to paint, but very much so anything that involves reading, using the computer. And so that's, if you think of some way around that I could be of use, let me know.
I'm actually, my mother had macular degeneration in both eyes, and
Mhm.
I actually have two like new eyes, given a retina surgery and um, what is it? The other one, corona.
Cornea.
Anyway, I've had to, yeah.
Mhm.
I've had enough, so my eyes are regenerated right now. But yes, so all right. So I'll work on it in the next few weeks and see what we can do. And if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But yeah, let's
I was
give
just
it a
wondering,
try.
why are we doing this virtually? I mean,
I don't see I think it could be out, not virtual. I think it could be in studio or outdoors. Um, and I'm actually, my thought was to coordinate with the Hudson River. There are some groups
Rambo.
that do the outdoor studio tours, so we could maybe coordinate. But
Hmm.
we'll see. Usually, I think Miriam had suggested October weekend, which Columbus Day weekend, which is a great, you know, people want to be out unless it rains.
Right.
So we have to. All right. So Phyllis, you're on, and I'll contact Karen and see what her thoughts are, and maybe there could be another couple of people who are interested. Okay.
Okay, great.
I can,
Thank you. Thank you, Bonnie.
all right.
All right, and then the next thing that we have up is the September show for members only, Hunger's Harvest. And we do have an agreement with Bethany to do that show. We're going to be, Sandra and I are getting, we have signed the agreement. Excuse me. And we are, I guess what we're doing now is we're going to get the prospectus out. We're going to get it out soon because the pieces have to actually be approved by the Bethany board. So we have to get them up early enough for their board meeting. So it probably is, the deadline for that will probably be end of July so that they can be approved. The hanging is going to be mid-August.
Okay.
And so we have that getting ready to go. Sandra, do you have anything you want to add about that?
No, other than the July thing, I think it's important for people to realize that the show may be September, but their art is due in July.
Does anyone know the size limitation? Or,
We haven't figured that out yet.
no, all right.
We haven't pinpointed that.
Can I ask a general question? I think it's too late for that show, probably. But other arts groups, like the Newer Show Art Association, which is much more established than we are, obviously, over 100 years old, have juried shows with prizes. And I think that could bring in new members and new revenue, because there's a, an application fee or submission fee as well. And is there a good reason why we don't do that or haven't done that?
Well, I will say I will just say as an aside, the show, the Hunger's Harvest show, there will be a hanging fee for that. It'll be minimal, but there'll be a hanging fee for that. So that's a tiny bit. I think that the reason we haven't, and I haven't been in charge of this at all, but my understanding was that we haven't done the organization to do juried shows. And I think generally, I think we haven't, the planning for something like that has to happen pretty far in advance, particularly since we haven't done it before. And I think we'd have to go ahead and but I think it's something we can talk about. I don't know. Have we done it in the past?
You
No,
have to-
Yes.
if you're gonna do that, you have to get, outside professionals to
Yeah.
jury.
Mhm.
And it takes time to organize.
Well, we've done something similar when we've had shows, member shows in our gallery, where we only allowed something like 25 in the gallery room, and then we had to make a decision who wasn't going to go in there. I don't remember this or not, Jill. And we had some members that were not happy with our selection, but it was jury.
So I realize to hire a juror or jurors, and it probably won't make a huge profit for us, because by the time you use the submission fees for the jurors' payment and for the prize money, there won't be a lot left over. Hopefully it will still be self-supporting as an event. But I do think it raises our profile and makes people more interested in being involved in the group. I would offer to contact the president of the New Rochelle Art Association and discuss with her, what are the logistics and economic parameters making it successful, because they've been doing it for over 100 years.
And also a Color Camera Club of Westchester does, they do an international,
Mention
Sure.
working at Bethany.
right? And Bethany, we can get a few,
It's okay, bro.
we can call Bunny Solomon knows all about that and how much.
So
So the Putnam Arts Council has juried exhibits.
Mhm. A lot of groups do.
okay. So, and I guess just to sort of answer, Keith, if you're willing to do that, that would be great to get information. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll send it, we'll contact Bunny and I'll send it to you.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, great. All right, let's see. So I think, is there anybody else who has anything that they want to bring up for old business than things we've talked about? I guess I already did, thanks to new volunteers.
Yeah.
I will mention, it's kind of interesting. I think most of us here already do volunteer work for the OAC already. But I'm going to continue to ask for volunteer work. If you have any, I guess for those of you who do it, it might be great for me for the next newsletter to be able to say why some of you who volunteer. Because I think that we have had very few people respond to our call for volunteers outside of the member show. So I think if we have some information about why you're willing to do this, it might be great. So if you have anything you want to send to me, that'd be great. Jill?
I think one of the things that happens, Allison, because I have good luck with the Google things and the MailChimps that I send out. People just really like to know what's the date, what's the time, what do I have to do? They're very reluctant to just kind of throw it out there and say whenever or whatever.
Right. But those are the kinds of things we need, right? Because that's sort of because in an ongoing way, we can't do all that. So we have to see, and I think that's part of why I have been trying to say it's a half an hour or an hour of your time, that kind of thing. So maybe I'll try to be more specific about what the jobs are as we get them.
Does it make sense to try to get people to sign on to specific committees?
It could.
I think
It could.
so.
Allison?
So I think just before I hold that thought, Peg. I think one of the things that it's a good suggestion, Jill, and what I have asked the board members to do, and they have yet to do it, is to describe what each committee does. And I think we need to have that before we can ask people to join a committee to do that work. So it's a good thing to think about. So Peg?
I was just going to say that the first time that we're actually going to physically see each other is at the library, at the opening of the membership show. So
Oh, it's virtual.
No, the opening is virtual, Peg. The library wouldn't
But
go.
we need- Well,
Yeah.
all right, but they have to drop their paintings off, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, very quickly.
Right, but I'm gonna say is that, could we have some information when they drop off? That maybe you could hand it to them or something, that maybe you can get somebody to sign up right there and then saying, hey, you want to be a volunteer, just get their name and email. So at least we can, if 40 people are going to present or 45 are going to present, even if you've got maybe 5 or 6 that are willing to be on a committee, that's still a plus.
That's a
We
good
could try
idea.
it that way.
You could have a sign-up sheet that you stick under their noses when they're filling out their form for the show.
Right.
No,
that would be good.
okay, let me clarify some stuff here. There's no forms to be signed. And the drop off and pickup has to be very fast.
Oh, but Jill, we know that, but things are getting better and better. And maybe by June, the library may be a little bit more open too. So even if they come, they drop it off, the sign up sheet's right there. It'll take them 2 seconds if they want to put the name down. So if nothing else, this is the first time that some of them are actually going to physically see somebody from the organization. So maybe we could take advantage of it.
Can I say, they must use their own pen. My dentist gives me, when I sign in, I get the pen, then I don't
Yeah.
take anything I've handled, even though I'm fully vaccinated. And even though everyone else is fully vaccinated. So,
Just, I have a question about the drop off and the committee thing. Is it, if you have maybe people, if you have committees listed there, and maybe you could have slots underneath that could you put your name and number, and should something come up where this committee needs a volunteer, would you mind if we call you to see if you're available?
It's a great idea.
Instead of saying join the committee, because I think people here join the committee and nobody wants to,
Yeah,
know,
right, right.
Somebody's
for a
got to
specific,
follow up immediately.
with like for a specific, like if we have an up and coming event and we need bodies, would you be willing to lend a couple of hours to help out? I think that people here join a committee and they get themselves all worked up thinking it's going to be like a life sentence.
It is. No, you know what it is? It's the personal. It's a personal connection. It's like you say to somebody, can you help me? I'm going to do this. And then that's
Give you more specific, like, if you say, if they can call you and if they need someone to help with a specific, just something, would you be willing to maybe lend those hours? Could we have your name and number, and so that we could try you in case we have need of someone? Maybe you'd get some people to sign up for various committees if you have the list of what the committee does and if it's something they're interested in.
That's great. Thank you.
it has to be immediate. It has to be like the next day. I'm thinking of Rosemary, Rosemary Hockey. She volunteers for everything. I mean, she would, and you must, it's a personal connection.
Yeah, I mean, if you have someone sitting there asking.
Could we get to Renee's presentation?
Yes, we are
What?
headed in that direction.
Thank you.
Yeah, I believe so.
All right, so for our monthly feature, we have Renee, who's here today. She was featured in the April newsletter. And if you, I guess we can kind of give you the floor, Renee, if you want to talk a little bit about.
I don't know. I'm like feeling pressured. A presentation. I thought I was just going to talk about.
No. Just if you want to, I guess, would you like us to ask you some questions?
Well, I can just go give you a general over what my process is. It's not really much of a process, but I can tell you, you were asking about my drawings. The picture that was in the newsletter was not really quote unquote my drawings. The other piece that was with the two was really a drawing. The one you were looking at was similar to this, which is not a drawing. This was a series I did of images on board, but were mostly circles and stacking and stuff like that. And that kind of came from that. But the drawings are mostly come from the fact that I always was drawing. And one season, I guess it was in 2017, I had difficulty even thinking of doing any art at all. And I sat down and decided I have to get myself in the zone somehow. So I started doing black and white drawings with a pen, because I found this really great pen by Signo, and it said super ink, and I thought, and dries quickly. And I thought, oh, that's great, super ink. That sounds like something I might want to try. The ink is almost like a India ink when you write with it and stuff. It dries pretty quickly. And the thing that was so great about that is when you're doing these kinds of drawings that I have behind me, I don't know, I guess I could hold up one.
Renee, if everybody puts on speaker on
Yeah.
speaker view, you can see really well.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Oh, I can't. Well, anyway, the drawings are like this. And basically, I started drawing them just by doing swirly lines on a page, and then basically working the spaces in between. That's sort of what it is. It starts out something like this, usually just a bunch of, I just like, go with whatever I feel like scribbling on a piece of paper. And then I start to build spaces, like, trying to create almost, for me, what I try to create is almost like a sculpture. Like I try to think in terms of 3 dimensions, and I try to feel like I'm drawing something that maybe if it was created. It would be like a wire sculpture you could actually walk around. I try to think of it in three-dimensional terms. And that's basically creating spaces here and there that, and don't usually use a straight edge or anything. There's no pencil, pre-pencil. It's basically drawing, as I was showing you, starting out with something like this, and then basically working it and using the spaces and using the line and just making it larger, smaller, whatever it is, to create the spaces that you want to then delve into and maybe shadow and stuff like that. And then deciding, as far as balance and layout and moving the eye around and keeping it on the space, but not getting thrown off. So I keep trying to work with the eye to go around. Basically, I think I keep saying basically, but it's true. It's very basic. It's what I've learned over the years, just being an artist and studying art all these years. So I find it very intriguing to sort of, you're working in ink. The ink dries pretty quickly. So I was able then to be able to work on it and not have to wait for the ink to dry as I would if I was doing like India ink or something like that. So I found it really intriguing. This is all fill in. I can adjust it as I go along if I make a mistake. And that's I think the real zhuzh for me is that I'm creating this I have no pencil lines, I can't erase, I can't do anything like that. So I have to make it work. So it may start out smaller and I intend for it to be smaller, but it might grow because I make a mistake and I have to make that mistake work. So it's sort of like painting yourself into a corner and trying to decide how to get out and still make it look good. So I think that part of it, that intrigues me. And that's kind of why I like doing these kinds of drawings. Is the same thing with the first one I did after, when I was trying to get back into this, was this one here. I started naming them, but then I decided not to name them. So this one I called Chaos is Sublime. Although everybody who's still, a couple of people I met who I said, what's your first impression when you see this abstract drawing? And they said, looks like a woman's womb. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. You see a womb there. But a couple of people had said that to me. They're abstract. I stopped naming them because I felt like people should see what they want to see in them. And therefore, if I name them, I feel like I'm making them see something that they're really not anything. They're really basically space and line and darks and lights and pushing and pulling the space. So I would rather people just sort of came upon it and decided what they saw in it, because I thought that'd be more interesting. And then I started putting color on, trying color in some of them. This is one I was working on. I kind of finished, I think, because that's always right. All artists, it's like, when is it done? I don't know. I got to decide if I'm going to continue working on it or not. Some things I know are done, like this is more just, this was more of a kind of trying to use color in a different way. And I saw something at a museum and I kind of pulled off of that for this kind of Northwest Indian sort of feel to it, coastal Indians and such. But basically the idea was to play with space and line, and it can go, it can go sort of, I'm going to put this up here. It can go sort of like almost, this one almost looks like mathematical. It looks like, but then it could be something that's, oh, I gotta get up. Something that's a little, like I started a little pencil in there and a little color, trying to do that. So I'm kind of exploring all the time. Sometimes it's a little more representational. I was making a statement here. Actually, this one made me think of, I was drawing these men that all look the same. And I thought of one of the Star Trek episodes where these two guys were fighting all over the Enterprise from a planet, but one had paint on one side of his face and one had paint on the other, and they hated each other because they were different, but they looked exactly the same except for the fact that there were color on one side or the other of their faces. So I was intrigued by that. So I sort of threw that into this drawing, calling it, aren't we all the same or something like that. So then there was like, just I'm intrigued by the infinity symbol, so I kind of worked with that on this piece here where but again, I'm trying to create something that you can almost feel like could be an expanded thing where it would be something you could walk around and you could circle and look at as a sculpture, either wire or solid or something like that. And the lines, it changes all the time, because if you make a thin line and you say, well, I need a more balance there. I need a little more weight in some area of the piece, just like.
Renee, we lost your picture.
Uh-oh, what happened? I don't know.
Did everyone?
I see her.
I see her.
I see.
Oh, I
her.
lost it. Okay, I don't know why I did. Okay.
Anyway, that's the whole idea. Basically, using lines, little, I don't know if you can see, but there's like little circles sometimes, or there's little, use a lot of checkerboard type thing just to give you that, pulling you into certain spaces, a lot of shading like up in here. And then, usually I'll have to go back and I'll have to like revisit it because maybe it has too much weight in one area. So I might go in and add something to balance it more, keep your eye moving, but draw you into it. So it's fun. I mean, I just think and the pen is really the thing that got me into this, because the pen doesn't smear easily. And it has a very nice dark, when you fill in it, it does almost look like India ink. So this is more like just a crazy thing I did. And I said, looks like my family, when we get together to have dinner or something at Thanksgiving, everybody's got something to say. So, things like that. I just try to take it in different directions and sort of like, just let it take me away. That's basically it. Just let it take me away and see things and go in that direction, and just let it pull me to do various shapes, tones, structures, and kind of create these images. My favorite, of course, is this one, which I think is funny. Doesn't that look like some happy faces?
Mhm.
And then this one up here. I don't know if you can see that, but that's kind of like a three-dimensional. It's also, playing with space and trying to make float things and, work those kinds of shapes and whatnots. And I did have a whole series of these. So I did have a show at the Ossining library. And I had these up at the Ossining library because I was doing so many of them, trying to get myself into art again I was really trying to get back to painting, but I ended up liking this a lot. So I just kept doing it. So I just have to figure out what I'm going to do with them. Do I want to print them? Do I want to make cards out of them? Should I put them on something? Sometimes I think they would be interesting on something, but I haven't gone there yet. So anyway, that's my story. As process goes, I just would say, looking at the line and, seeing, like here, I kind of took a straight edge and connected these circles, and I may end up connecting. I'm sorry?
There's something in the way, your chair.
Oh, something's in the way.
There in front of the camera. Thank you.
Okay. Sometimes I will just I might decide to take this point and connect it to this point. Here I had this kind of hanging little edge here. Where is it? Up here. So I may decide to connect this little hanging edge to this little hanging edge, and that'll create a line, and that'll also give me almost a fold. So I might decide to do something like that to just work this up and just little by little build the spaces and try to create some kind of depth to it and some kind of feeling to it. It's a lot too about feeling, like you're getting these feelings from them. So that's pretty much it. I mean, anyone has a question? I don't know if you do have a question or if I talked too much already. No question?
That was great, Renee.
Okay.
So I have a
Great.
question. Have you thought about making them, or what would happen to them if you made them large?
I thought about doing a large piece. I was trying to think of what I could use for, the device to actually draw it. You know, I've also thought about that with my stacking pieces that I did, where I was just stacking, I was just stacking these things, like just stacking circles, always making sure the lines were never repeated in any one area. So it was that was the beginning of this kind of drawing these things. And then I went on to this other business. But yeah, I thought about doing it very large. I really wanted to do this small, but do it on a bigger sheet
What
and
about-
see
What
how
about,
that would happen.
what about the idea of taking a bunch of the small ones and turning them into some kind of big collage?
Oh, yeah, I could do that too. That's a good idea. I mean, I could try doing that. I'd have to print them and then use them as collage. I wouldn't want to use the originals, but I could print them possibly and do something like that. But I actually was thinking of doing it. There was somebody who had, one of the artists we had, she had, and I actually did something similar to what she does. She would draw parallel lines, just swirling, but she had all these parallel lines that were swirling around. And she had large pieces, and I thought, I should do something like this, but do it really big, small detail, but really on a larger sheet of paper. So that might be the next step for something like this. And collage sounds like a really good idea as well, now that you're saying it. So too many projects though. I have so many, things I'm working on that it's just gets crazy, right? Every artist knows that story, right? We all
One
have-
of the things Lee Krasner did later in her career was she started cutting up all of her paintings and making incredible collages out of them.
Right. So those are all good ideas and stuff that probably, I should consider doing. I just, what it is, the collage is not something I've done. I could try it, but I just love the pen on paper, the pencil on paper, the physical act of doing that is just what really, I think, turns me on about doing these kinds of things,
Renee,
yeah.
I find your work very impressive. This pen that you use, Signa, how is that spelled?
It's Signa. It's just like a pen, right? But
Mhm.
they have what they call super ink, and it does dry pretty good. I mean, you draw something, and like a few minutes later, I can lean on it and I can continue to draw. And I think that's what really enabled me to really get into doing these drawings. Oddly enough, I have to fill in because they don't have really broad points, but they have a micro. They have a bold, a micro 207, a bold 207, and a regular 207. So there's just, the fine one is like when I'm trying to do, smaller areas, and then the big bolder one for filling in, because I have to fill in the lines. They look like I could have done this with a brush, but I got news for you. There's no way I could have ever done anything like this with a brush.
Mhm.
And plus you want to be able to maneuver and be able to correct. Like if I go out of a line when I'm doing a curve, or the curve isn't quite right, I can adjust it and correct it, or if I see when I've done the piece that, okay, I need a more weight over here, then I can go back and I can just, fill in and make that line thicker, because I'm really filling in with the pen. I'm not drawing it outright. So basically, there's a lot of maneuverability because of the fact that I'm not doing it with the brush, and I'm not having to be quite so perfect. It might be disappointing to some people that I can't just do this with a brush, but it's hard enough to do it and be able to go back and correct, or be able to go back and then revise is really nice to be able to do that, or to add. Like I was just filling in on the piece that I was working on here, and I realized that some of these areas became like too light, like these shadow areas that I was working on. They were like just not deep enough. They weren't like giving me that 3 dimension. So I went in and I was like blackening them a little more, and maybe making this line a little thicker, and adding some stuff here. I'm trying to create like some kind of an edge here, like a kind of a cave effect, or so I will go in and I will just dabble around and try to recreate that space a little bit. And that's really nice but you have to step away from it, I think, for a while. You know, you can't just do it. This takes time, and, you know, you don't want to just try to do it all at once. I just usually work on it, and then I'll step away from it for a day, and then I'll come back to it and try to refine it, and just always refining it. You know, go to another one, start another one, and just go back and forth so that you don't get too caught up in it. You can lose your focus. You know, you want to be able to and step away from it, like literally, like put it over there and see what it looks like, you know, that type of thing, which everybody does with their work, I'm sure, paintings and such. But I live with my pieces, so I'm sure everybody does that too. You put them up, you leave them in the room, you walk past them once in a while and you say, now I notice that needs da. You know, you kind of have to live with them. They have to be part of the family.
Yeah, but you have to write it down, because I find that you get this great, you know, the light bulb goes off, and then later on you can't remember what it was you absolutely thought you should
Yeah,
do.
you saw and you said, that's what's my problem. That's why that's not working. Is you know, that's why I put them up there, so I can see them all the time. And so, you know, that's why I just try to live with them and, you know, be able to correct them. So anyway, that's the story of these drawings. You know, that's how I started doing them, just to sort of get back into art, because I had these lapses where I just can't even think about doing any art. So it kind of drew me back in. And that's my
Wonderful.
story. I'm sticking to it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Very nice.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Very nice, Renee.
Thanks, Renee.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So,
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was
You're
great.
welcome. You're welcome.
I guess that we have, that was just great. I'm sort of like, it's hard to come back to talking about the meeting. Like, I got some great ideas. So, I think unless anyone has any other calendar updates, there is still time to sign up for some of the online workshops that are coming up. Storytelling, needle felting. Does anybody have anything else they want to add?
Update on the ceramics workshop. So I received about, almost 20 pieces from the people that participated. And last night I bisque fired them in my kiln at home. And later this month, weather permitting, we will pit fire them in Elsa's backyard.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
So it should be fun.
Great.
Wow.
And I'd like to mention one thing. Bethany is looking for all kinds of teachers or lecturers or one-day class or a series of classes for the fall. So I'm going to send Peg some info for the June newsletter, but it talks primarily about kids classes, but they're looking for teachers for any kind of class, including, like I said, one-day class, one-day lecture, whatever, or a series of classes. So if anybody's interested, you can contact Abby there.
That's good.
And Keith,
Thank you.
Yeah,
could you
yeah.
possibly videotape what you're going to do with Elsa's?
That's the plan, to live stream it if her Wi-Fi is working, and I have a way of setting up my camera while I'm working, on the kiln itself.
Okay, because I'd like to link it to the newsletter. If you put it up in YouTube, then I could just link it.
Oh, nice.
Okay, I can send you, well, the video of the original workshop making was 2 hours long. So
Ooh.
I don't know. It
But
takes
that's
a,
okay,
takes
because
a
if
long
it goes
time.
on YouTube, it's all right, because if it goes on YouTube, it's whoever links on it, it's their decision whether or not they want to
Okay.
watch the whole thing.
If I can't figure out how to send it to you, I'll get Jim to send it to you.
So,
Okay.
and I would actually even say, I guess that I would be inclined to have an edited version on our OAC site. And we can actually do editing on YouTube. Once it's uploaded, we actually have a YouTube channel. which we could make a lot more use of if we wanted to, and link to that, as Peg is saying. I'm not, unless there's something. So anyway, I think we can talk about maybe creating some different versions of it and see what that, do you, Keith, I guess, where's the 2-hour video of the first workshop?
I think Jim uploaded it to YouTube.
Okay, I'll check on that I didn't see a link to it from the CCOA site, but I will check.
I don't know if he's linked it with the site. I just think,
Okay.
I don't know. I know it took him a long time to download it
Mhm.
or something, and I haven't had the intestinal fortitude to subject myself to seeing myself doing it.
Mhm.
So I don't know how bad it is, but it's there.
I'll take a look and let you know.
No, it was good,
I know
Kate.
nothing about editing.
It was good. It was very informative and I enjoyed it.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good. I was just kidding, Keith. You know that, I hope. All right, anybody else have anything else?
Well, I just, I don't really know if I should say this, but I remember that a few days ago, Miriam said that she saw something that in Katona, they're using abandoned storefronts. And we kind of started talking to each other, thinking that maybe we can do that in Ossining. I have no idea what it entails or how to organize this, but if there are any abandoned stores in Ossining that we could put our artwork in there, that would be very interesting for the fall, an interesting idea.
Or even over the summer, if they would allow for that. You know, we've tried before trying to get stores to let us put things in their windows, especially the empty stores, even temporarily till they rent it out or whatever. And it's been very difficult getting them to, we've never had that follow through. I mean, it'd be great if we could do that.
So I don't
Is it
really
this-
know which are the stores that are empty right now.
Empty.
or-
There's not that many, really, fortunately for Ossining, but
Allison, were you going to go to that show?
The storefront show?
Yeah.
So is it a limited time? It's a limited time show, right?
yeah.
I don't know. You said you were going to go on the 22nd or something?
I did say I was going to go. I have to put it on my calendar.
That's right. You're not close. Yeah.
You're talking
Where is
about-
it? In Katona?
I couldn't
I
hear
don't
you.
know.
Is it in Katona? Oh, wait a minute.
I think so. I think it's a great idea. I love it. So it just takes some organization. I was
Yeah, we
going to
have to
just
work
go see it so that we could, so I would have an idea of what you guys are talking about. But if you
Brainstorm.
know what you're talking about and you've already seen it, you can take photos of it to,
Right.
like plug the idea to other members of the group who might want to, sign on. In terms of like getting, it might be a great thing to do in 2022. I mean, we could do a run. I think you have to
Yeah.
there's a bunch of steps. We can talk in a committee kind of setting or in a small group setting about doing that.
Right.
But it also, in terms of Keith saying, could we do a juried kind of thing? It could be a juried kind of thing that could draw new artists into our group because people could get their work in a very public space. So it's something to think about. Like if we did a trial run this year for members only, but I love it. I
Yeah,
know.
Beacon does it in the winter, before Christmas. At least they have every year. It's an annual event there. And they're not only the abandoned spaces, a lot of the other shops that aren't like art galleries and whatever, they allow for it also.
I mean, if we found
I've always thought it was a great idea, but when we tried to do it here, we got nowhere.
Maybe
Oh,
it's time to try again.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with trying.
So does anybody know which are the businesses that are?
I know which stores are empty, sure. Yeah,
Okay,
but I don't know the next step, but you know, I could call the person that owns the two. I can look in the windows and see what the phone numbers are, you know. And,
they're
and
on-
call the real estate agent.
yeah, maybe that'll lead to something
Right. Okay.
else other than showing our work.
Oh, right.
Great. All right, thank you. If no one has anyone else, let's call. Our next monthly meeting is June 10th. So
June.
I hope to see you then. If anyone has an idea for a topic for the meeting or wants to present, you know, or wants to talk about their work, we'll get that word presentation out of there, Renee.
Yeah, right. That's intimidating.
We're not doing it.
Art talk, it's our art talks.
Art talks. If anybody
Yeah.
wants to do an art talk, that'd be
Art
great.
talk.
So, you know, you can let me know, let somebody else know.
Let somebody know.
Talking in the air, whatever. I guess we're gonna adjourn. I hope you all have a great month and we will be in touch.
Oh, one thing. I just want to show.
Make a motion. Oh,
Yeah, we have
That's
one
it.
more thing Renee's got.
One
and then
more
we're gonna-
No, someone asked me what the pens were, and
Oh.
I realize I have this, maybe they can see. That's what they look like.
They're your uniballs. I actually have some of those pens.
They hang on a whatever, and they're called, they're Uniball design performance.
Can you show it again?
Uni Super Ink. Someone asked me about it and I realized I have
I did.
this thing. Okay, so it's like hangs,
Uniball,
usually hangs in
Signa, Super
says
Ink.
Uniball design performance 207 super Super Ink, bold vibrant ink. So if anybody wanted to see that, it's Uniball.
Thank you.
this session is also being recorded, so we can also look it up.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
Thank you, Renee.
You're welcome.
Great, thanks. Does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Before we adjourn, will next month's meeting be in person at the steamer?
No, thanks.
Maybe we can talk about that at the board meeting?
Okay,
Sounds good.
Is the
Okay.
place going to be thoroughly cleaned? And, you know, there's some stuff you got to do if you're going to do that.
Well, we'll think about it.
Yeah.
So I think whatever we do, we'll have a hybrid environment. So we'll talk about
Okay.
that next month. Thank you,
Okay.
Keith.
okay.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I second it.
All in
All right.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Everyone,
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Panel, you guys.
send in your submissions.
Thanks
Uh-huh.
for all you do.
Yes.
Thanks for all.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Jill.
Renee.
Thanks, Allison.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Good
everybody.
night.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.